Today we're going to talk about all of that crazy jargon that triathletes love to throw out in conversation that make no sense to the new triathlete.
Hey, are you going to open water swim on Saturday?
No, man, I can't. I've got a race coming up, so I'm tapering. You know, I've got a 3-hour bike ride this weekend and a 2-hour training pace run, but I could totally use that time in the water, you know? Because I got to work on my drafting, you know, if I'm going to PR and podium and...
So that conversation is something that I think happens to almost every new triathlete. You start up a conversation with somebody that you think is going to be completely normal, and then suddenly they open their mouth and the words that come out make no sense.
So, have you ever been to Florida?
Où c'est petit ça? Moi je viens de la France, je suis dire toi un peu s'il y a un bon restaurant.
Today I'm going to cover the basics, like your bread and butter, the terms that I think that everybody needs to know. That being said, after I'm finished going through everything, if you didn't hear a term that you need to know the definition for, write it in the comments section and I'll get back to you and I'll let you know what it is. I mean, if there's enough of these that I didn't cover the first time, I'll just make a second video. A bonk is what happens when you run out of juice before the end of your race or your workout. You'll be going along just fine and suddenly you just don't have the energy to go on. You are running through a vat of semi-solidified cement. So a lot of times this is due to not getting enough nutrition or hydration, and it can also happen if you push harder than your fitness allows for too long. Okay, so when you hear somebody talk about a brick, this isn't what they're talking about. A brick is when you stack, like bricks, a bike workout next to a run workout, and that is with the minimal space in between as humanly possible. And this allows you to simulate what it feels like when you're racing. That feeling when you've been on the bike and you've been spinning, and your feet haven't touched the ground, and then you get off of that bike and suddenly you're pounding pavement. That's the importance of the brick. Now, it's kind of become a slang term for really any time you stack multiple workouts next to each other. You might hear somebody say that they've got a swim brick into a weights brick. It basically means, like I said, that the amount of time in between your two workouts is slim. So it's basically two workouts that are stacked together as one workout. Cadence. You want to think of cadence like RPM on a car. For a bike, it's the amount of pedal strokes that you take in a minute. On the run, it's the number of steps, and strokes again for the swim, but this time swim strokes. You'll see bike cadence come up probably more often than not, closely followed again by your swim and then your run. So if you see a bike workout that is telling you to keep your cadence between 80 and 90, you'll now know what they're asking for. Now, there are multiple ways to measure your cadence. You can get a simple sensor that attaches to your pedal that will hook up to your watch or your bike computer. You can actually estimate it yourself if you can think of a song. If you can find a song that has like a 90 beat per minute rate or an 80 beat per minute rate, you can kind of sing it in your head while you're on the bike. Now, obviously, that's not going to be super accurate. My power pedals, they're also my power meter, measure my cadence as well. And if you've got a smart trainer like my Wahoo Kickr over there, it will also read out your cadence through the app that it interfaces with. Drafting. You will hear this term used most in the bike and the swim. When you're draft, you are actually using the racer in front of you as a human shield from wind or water resistance. Now, if you're on a bike and you hug right onto the back tire of the person in front of you, it's going to be much easier for you to pedal than the person in front because they're taking all of the wind resistance for you. If you were to swap places, what would have seemed like a leisurely ride might suddenly be very challenging, especially if it's a windy day. Now, most races don't actually allow you to draft on the bike because it can be dangerous. I mean, think about it. It's like tailgating in a car. If the person in front of you comes to a stop or slows down very quickly, you can ram right into the back of them. But there are some races that do allow it, like the Olympics. And you can do this on the run too. You can draft on the run. It's a lifesaver on the swim, especially open water swims. You either get right on the feet of the person in front of you or right up on the side. That's gonna cut resistance from the water. It basically clears a channel for you to go right through, and the bonus on open water swims is you don't have to sight because you can just go off of that person beside you. I mean, you are taking a little bit of a risk of them going off course, but generally the risk is worth the reward. A PR, or sometimes you'll hear it referred to as a PB, is a personal record. This could be your fastest 5K race time ever, or even your fastest transition time. So it's any record that you have set for yourself that you either beat or, I mean, hey, there's a first time for everything. Even your first time that you set for your first race is a PR. That's your baseline. And from there, anytime you beat that original time, that is a personal record. And honestly, out of everything you could be striving for, a PR is the number one thing you want, because ultimately triathlon is all about improving yourself. So PB, PR, awesome sauce. The taper. Now, you may find that a lot of the triathletes you hang around with choose to ignore this part of the process because it can be kind of boring. But it is a very important tool, and I urge you not to skip out on this. The taper is the period of time leading up to your race where you dial back the intensity of your training. So what that's going to do is that's going to allow your body to heal so that whenever you get to the race, you're going to be in top form. So your workouts are going to usually get longer and slower. You're going to be doing things that don't make your muscles sore. And the beauty of this process is that while you're healing, you are maintaining all of that fitness that you spent months and months of hard work getting to. Training pace and race pace. Get these dialed in with a good nutrition plan and you won't have to worry about bonking. Now, on your workouts, you will probably see this as TP or RP. And each of these paces, training pace or race pace, coincides with your heart rate and your power zones. Now, training pace is what you'll spend the highest percentage of your training time in. It's going to be your lower end. You can go at this pace for a long time. You may even be able to talk while you're running at this pace. Now, your race pace is your top end. You're not going to be able to hold this pace for a very long time. So on a longer race, like an Ironman for instance, you may still find yourself in training pace for a good portion of it, even though you're racing. These zones are most useful when you are using them with something like a heart rate monitor or a power meter and a watch or a bike computer to actually show you what zone you're landing in. Now, you can find these zones by going to your local tri shop and getting tested, but with everything going on with COVID, are we opening up? Are we not opening up? I don't know. It may be difficult to find a place to get tested, or for that matter, you may not have the money set aside right now to get heart rate testing. So I did a little bit of digging around and I found a great resource from Triathlon Taren to help you get a nice general idea of your heart rate zones until you can. And last but not least, Kona. You will hear about Kona a lot when you hang around with triathletes. It's the nickname for the Ironman World Championships that happen every October in Kailua, Kona, Hawaii. And I am praying that they happen this year too. Now, why is Kona such a big deal? Well, it is the Super Bowl, the event of the year, the frickin' Oscars for triathletes across the globe. Only the very best of the best athletes, the most devoted athletes, and in my case, the most outrageously lucky athletes get to go, because it's not open to everyone like other races. You can't just go sign up for Kona. Now, although it's not technically the toughest course out there, there are some crazier, tougher courses. It is incredibly challenging, and the extreme elements are what really set it apart. The winds on the bike course blow anywhere from 5 to 35 miles an hour, generally hanging around the top of that range. And in extreme conditions, it can gust up to 60 miles per hour, with crosswinds that can literally blow you off of the road. No, it really happened to my coach one time. And then halfway through the marathon, you hit this area called the Natural Energy Lab, where there is no shade, hardly any wind, and asphalt or asphalt for you Canadians as far as the eye can see. It is hot, really hot, humid, and it will mess with your mind. And Kona in general is very hot and very humid. But take it from me, Kona is an amazing once-in-a-lifetime experience, and I will never forget it. That swim in Kailua Bay was absolutely amazing. You actually see all of the fish like swimming around the coral and stuff on your way out. It's phenomenal. So even if you don't get to race there, if you get the opportunity to spectate or volunteer, take it. You will not regret it. And that being said, most triathletes will tell you that it is their ultimate goal to make it to Kona. So yeah, that's all the terms. That's it. That's all you get from me today. No, I'm kidding. Now that you know your brick from your bonk, you are ready to go out into polite triathlon society and have smart, thoughtful conversations with other triathletes and not feel like you're in another country. So hopefully this helped you. Hopefully you can go feel more comfortable and better in every way and just have a great time being a triathlete. So that's all for today. Check back next week and I will see you in the next one. Okay, let's start talking about jargon. Okay, let's start talking about the jargon. I don't think I'm gonna do that. I don't know. This is just an excellent way for me to get comfortable in front of the camera. Every time I get in front of you, I feel a little bit better about myself. Okay, bye.